Hello, everybody. Welcome in. I caught Colleen off guard there with that one, but anyway, here we are. Normally we like give it a second for everybody to get in here, and I was sitting there. I was like, no, Colleen's here. We need to go live immediately. So, welcome in. Hello, Colleen. Hello, Mr. Kenny.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Well,
Love
thanks
it.
for
Can't
coming back.
love it.
Before we start, how many saw Colleen's Vision 2024 talk that we did earlier this year? I'm just curious how many like longer term viewers we have in here, and I'm gonna wait till we jump into it. I know there's some for sure. If you haven't seen that, just a quick shout out, and then I'm gonna do my best to introduce Colleen, and she's probably gonna have to add some stuff because there's a lot of cool stuff. So anyway, with Vision 2024, if you haven't seen it, it was an event we did virtually live earlier this year. So if you just go to YouTube Lives and you search Vision 2024, you'll see it. Or I think it's just posted as a video. Is that right, Kenny, on YouTube?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So anyway, we have Colleen, as you can see. Colleen, first of all, is awesome. Many of you know her. She has been at our conference since 2022 every year. She came at 2022 having like barely started her business. She came back the next year as a speaker. She's built an incredible business, has an awesome team. Her and her husband, Tim, are just awesome people. She knows a lot about real estate media, and she has like, my perspective on it is part of the reason she's built an awesome business, I would say, is not because she sits there and she just nails every little tactic. It's just because she's an awesome person. She works hard. She believes in people, and she's built a cool thing. So, Colleen, I don't know. Introduce yourself a little bit. Give me some more background for everybody.
That was great. Thank you, Eli. Yes, my name's Colleen Kidd. My husband and I own Three Palms Media. We started it just over 2 years ago now. And I definitely think like to the core of why we've had some of the success that we've had is just deciding that we were going to do it and deciding that we were going to believe in ourselves and like really not give any excuses. And I think everyone's guilty of that. I am like, I'll find myself on the daily, like making up excuses for myself. And then I've trained myself to kind of catch it. Like anytime you're being like, oh, well, it's this or that's just your old program running. Like that's just your subconscious telling you, a lie, really. It's like you are always in choice. And so I think we just never gave ourselves any outs and like constantly just tell ourselves to believe in ourselves and show up confident and show up consistently. And that consistency just kind of brought us to where we're at. And yeah, and it's been a wild ride, and it's been a lot of fun, and it's been hard too, days where I'm, crying and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. And then I'm like, no, yes, I can. Pick myself back up. Let's go.
That's awesome. So give me like a little overview on your team right now, because it's obviously not just you. You've built an awesome team. 2 years is a crazy short timeline too. That's what is so fun about your story to me. So I guess, yeah, what does your team look like today?
Yes. Oh, my team, love them. We just had a big team meeting last night. We have one. We try to have one every other week. And I have 7 photographers that are on our team now, which is awesome. And they span all up and down Southwest Florida, which is where I'm out of. I'm directly out of Fort Myers, but we service Southwest Florida. And there's Tim and myself. And then we hired a full-time admin, project coordinator, client relations. We're still working on her name. I always tell her, like, you make up whatever you want to be called. Yeah. She's excellent. Love her. Absolute game changer. And then I have 4 virtual assistants that are pretty much all near full time. So that's 14 people that get paid by Three Palms Media.
It's crazy. And what is it? A little bit over 2 years or a little less?
A little bit over 2 years, because it would have been August. So 2 months over 2 years.
That is, I think that's probably one of the, like, if not the fastest growth we've ever seen, which is pretty cool, especially team wise. There are people who've shot up with smaller teams due to like really high average order value, which I'm not discounting that. That's awesome. Right. But building out a team like that is crazy. What, when you first started, you're pretty like an optimistic person. I think that's one of your strengths, or maybe you weren't and you just developed yourself to be that. Did you think this was going to happen, or like, what was your dream when you started the business?
I think that it would always come up that I'm like, oh, I don't know if we could build a team like other people have, but it always goes back to, I'm like, well, that's a lie. like, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. So you can either believe that it's not going to happen, or you could believe that it's going to happen. They're both a lie. I just like choose to pick the one that I wish to happen. And that's so true. I think about that all the time. I'm like,
So good.
well, you can't predict the future. Everything's a lie. So I might as well believe the
Mhm.
lie I want.
Mhm.
And, but I just kept coming back to, like, no, if anybody can do it, I can do it. Like, why not
Mhm.
me? And just out, even outside of business, I always think about that. I'm like, well, why not me? Like,
Yeah.
I would challenge everybody to be like, well, anything that you want to do, well, why not you? And whatever
Mm.
excuses you're giving yourself are fake. They're not real. So, um, and that's come from experiences in my life, I think, that I've had to fall back on, that I've learned just along the way, that I chose to apply when it came to starting the business. I've never been an entrepreneur before. I never started a business. I've always been a corporate gal up until I started this. So when I just decided that I was going to believe that it was going to happen,
Mm.
yes, then I knew it was going to happen. I don't think I knew it was going to grow this big, this fast, but I did know that we would be successful, and I did know that we would have some sort of team.
Mhm.
It And I think when you believe in yourself, it's like you create something even bigger than your wildest dreams, which is what has happened for us so far.
I mean, like you believe in yourself, but then you start acting on it as well, and I think that's what helps you actually get to what you're believing. Something Alex Hormozy said was just like, if you can choose to have a bad day, you can choose to also have a good day. So it's just like that perspective, that mind change, and I think that's what you did right there. Like, I can choose to believe like I was never an entrepreneur, not sure if it's going to work. It could fail, which is a truth, or you could be like, or it could just not, and I could just be thinking that it's going to succeed, and you made it happen. So I love
Yeah.
that.
You're
Yeah.
always in choice. Like, when
Yeah.
I just think of that, I'm like, I'm
Mm.
literally always in choice, and you will, like, what you focus on is what you feel. And there's always a positive and a negative for you to focus on, because that's just the law of polarity. So if I'm for every positive, there's a negative. So if I choose to look at the positive, I'm going to feel anticipation, and then I'm going to generate faith, and then I'm gonna start acting in alignment with that. But if I look at the negative, which happens, I do it too. It's hard. Like, you're up against yourself every day. But if you look at the negative, you're gonna generate a belief of doubt, and then you're gonna act in alignment with that doubt. It's gonna come out in your action. So anytime I catch myself in something like that, I'm like, well, okay, I'm in control. Where can I just choose to look? And that's not just business. I mean, that's life.
Do you is that how you've like have you given a lot of value to the mindset side of your life in general? Like, is that a calling trait, or is that something you've developed? The reason I ask, I think my first 5 years of growing Norman and Young were painfully slow, and I was very not purposefully, I mean kind of, but I was kind of anti mindset. Like, I didn't want to listen to people talking about that. I was like, I wrote it off as fluff, and I would only want like specific tactics, but the tactics without having the right like execution and strategy that comes from mindset are very unimportant. So I guess, is that a characteristic in you, or is it something you developed? How does that sit with you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's everything, because you lay out exactly how to do a real estate media business. So why doesn't everybody who joins, or why doesn't everybody in the world just do it?
Mm,
Because it's them. Like, their psychology is holding them back. And I think I realized that when I was younger. It's like, no matter what your story is growing up, there's things that affected you, and if you don't kind of understand what those are, you're not going to really understand how to navigate life. But when
mm,
I was 22, all my hair fell out, which is why I don't have any hair. I have alopecia, and it all just fell out of nowhere in 30 days. And that
mm,
obviously like really turned my world upside down. And it was like literally so devastating. It was like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? Like, I was in
mm.
college, I just cared about my appearance and being cool and boys and all the stuff that you're trying to figure out when you're growing up, or just in general. Like, we all have our insecurities. So it just felt like I had a big one thrown on me. And it's
Mm.
funny, because the worst things that happen to you in life are actually the opportunities to learn the most. And they're actually the best gifts in life. And I was able to somehow realize that from my hair falling out. It was a process, but There was one day I woke up and I'm like, oh, okay, well, am I going to let this run my life every day where I have to worry about hiding every day? And I'm always in this constant state of just like hiding. And I was like, no, why would I want to do that? And that was the first time that it occurred to me that I do have a choice. And I chose to lean into it. I chose to learn from it. I chose to gain confidence from it, then for it to be stripped away. And it's not like I just was able to literally wake up one day and like have it all figured out. Like it's definitely a process every day. But whatever in anybody's life, we've all had pain or experiences. I always challenge myself to think, well, what was the gift in that situation? And then once you start to look at it that way, and then it positively affects your life, you start to stack this evidence of like, oh, okay. And so everything, I just look for how I can stack evidence. And then ultimately I've evolved to the mindset that I have now, but it wasn't like I was born that way. And I think I love listening to podcasts. I've had coaches before that have helped me learn this along the way. It's not like I just came up with this all on my own. Like I chose to learn it too.
Yeah, I mean, something I said, you're something you said really stuck out. It's like you're the definition of doesn't hide. We were talking before, just for everybody's context, this is amazing. We were talking before we went live, and I was talking with Bailey, who's our awesome event coordinator, and we were planning REPP 2024, and we were on the meeting, and I was like, who's going first? Who's speaking first? Because that's like the scary slot, right? And I was like trying to figure out who we could like sacrifice to speak first. And Bailey goes, Colleen already asked if she could. And I'm like, that's like and then it gets even better. I was like, perfect. Like there's nobody I want opening the conference more than Colleen. And then Bailey later was like, actually, Colleen asked if she could speak twice. I was like, Colleen can speak as many times as she wants at the conference. And I think that shows, so that's an example of it, an awesome example. It's probably making everybody smile, but like you do the same thing in your business. You don't hide. You show up to brokerages, you show up for your team, you're out there, you're on social. So that, do you feel like you've been, I mean, was that transition when you were 22 and lost your hair? Like, were you an introvert before that, or were you always extrovert? Like, how did that, I guess, change you in terms of that part of your life?
Well, first point, when you guys were like, oh, we'd love to have you speak at the REPP conference, I just, in my gut, I was like, well, I really want to open it up and I want to talk more about mindset because it's been so helpful for me. And it wasn't like just a casual thing for me to be like, I'm going to ask. Like, no, it took me a moment of just being like, just go for it. Forget, like it wasn't like, I'm like, oh, I'm so cool, I'm going to ask. No, it was hard for me to be like, I had to tell myself, just do it. Just do it. And don't give yourself time to think about it. So I just text her, yo, can I talk twice? And I'm like,
so you're doing it as like continuing to make yourself more like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
okay.
It was like, I was like, I know that I have, that I can help people. And I know that I should be more on stage, but it's still scary, but I'm not going to give myself time to think about it. So, and I was like, oh my God, they said yes. Okay. If you ask, you will receive. Like
that is amazing.
and that's the same, it's the exact same, in business for sure. So, was I introverted? I felt like I was always more extroverted, but like from a place that felt like a survival because I was so insecure about whatever. Like I can go into why I think but why I felt like I was insecure, but that's a whole story. But anyways, I was. And so I was always like extroverted, but it kind of felt like a place from survival. And then my hair fell out and it really allowed me to be more of who I actually wanted to be. And I do love people and I do get energized by people. And I realized that like, I started sharing a lot about what it was like to have my hair fall out and things like that. And the people that were attracted to that story online weren't just people like me that had lost their hair. It was like everybody, whatever their thing was. And I was like, oh, I literally only thought people that didn't have hair would relate to me. I was so wrong. So I think I started to understand like how powerful it was to share, because I feel like all we really want as humans is like connection. We want to know that we're not in something alone. And when you're vulnerable, it gives other people the permission to be vulnerable. And then it's just like super powerful. So I learned it in that and I've just practiced it since then.
Yeah, that's amazing. It shows through. I mean, it really does in everything you do. Okay, so we'll bounce from like somewhat tactical to somewhat mindset, because I want to keep bringing it back to that, because obviously I think all three of us here at least agree that that's the determining factor. You've been in the corporate world. You had a great corporate job. Why now? Why 2 years ago did you start a real estate media company? Like, how did that happen?
Oh my gosh, I saw you on YouTube. No, I saw you on Facebook. No, I had always like wanted to pick up a camera. Like I'd picked up a camera before, like a while ago, and tried to like take pictures of my friends and stuff like that, but always kind of pushed it to the side because I was telling myself the lie that like I can't do it and that I can't make money from a camera and that I'm not creative enough to hold a camera and things like that. But I like to travel. I started doing some big trips. I kind of fell in love with the camera, and I fell in love with traveling. I left, I went and traveled. I was gone for 2 years by myself and I learned a lot about myself then. And when I got back, I promised myself that I would actually live a life that was more in line with who I knew I could be. And that was more taking ownership of my life, being a leader. And like, I just saw myself starting my own business, but I literally had no idea what I would do. I'm like, I want to start my own business, but doing what? Like, I had zero idea. I couldn't come up with anything. I didn't really know. I was like, oh, I'll do family photography because I loved the camera. So I started doing that. But I knew I just wanted a bigger business and I didn't want to build it off of family photography. And I got married to my husband. And then I saw you on Facebook and you're like, you could build this business. And I was like, this guy can do it. I can do it. And that was it.
That's awesome. Okay. So that's a lot of people, I think, that are in our audience. They are looking for that vehicle to help them.
Yeah.
Like they know they want to, it's usually, I found this out the other day. It surprised me. Actually, 70% of the people we work with consider themselves photographers or have photography experience. I would have thought it was less, but it was 70%. So 70% do that. And then the other questions that we have in this survey, basically said the same thing. Like they wanted to have a business that worked with cameras and it was just the way real estate media was set up made sense to them. What is it about real estate media that makes sense to you? Like what did you like about it at the start? And then what have you learned since you've owned your business makes it awesome?
What I liked about it was that it was scalable. Like you showed how it could be scalable because I did want to have a team. I did want an opportunity to like become more of a leader. And I liked that my husband, who had never touched a camera in his life, I was like, oh, well, honestly, I felt like it would be easier to teach him real estate photography than how to take pictures of families, which it is, I think, unequivocally, it is easier. So it felt like something that was more of a business. Like I wanted to be a business owner. I didn't want to like make money off of a camera. I was interested in cameras, but it just felt like a good business model. That's why I was interested in it. I felt like I could actually build a real business off of it. I feel like it's everywhere. Like I wanted to have, a big one was the reoccurring clients that need you every week, every month, not just like when they have like a baby or something like that. Yeah. Speaking of, so I saw you guys getting the baby pictures.
Yeah, I was thinking about it while she was shooting. Yeah. I'm like, there's reoccurring, I guess, the next baby, but that's a couple years from now, hopefully. So,
yeah, anyway. It's not the same. I think that's great, but I wanted to build a business, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what I want to do, we'll take break is a strong word. If anybody knows they have a question for Colleen, drop it in the chat already. I love Q&A. I'm pretty sure that Colleen does as well. I'd love to talk about what everybody listening wants to hear from Colleen. So put some questions in there. I swear to you, if you ask a question about camera settings, I will ban you from the live, though. You can only ask Colleen good questions that will help you grow your business. We gotta be kind of protective of Colleen's time, so you can't ask camera settings questions now. All right, let's see if there's any in here. Kenny, any specific questions for Colleen? Not to put you on the spot, but anything that stands out about Colleen or you want to talk about?
I mean, taking action is something that I really have gotten from you ever since I've met you. You're just that person who's like, yeah, we'll go to like, the first year we met, like, yeah, going to a conference. Yeah, I started the business. Yeah, okay. Do you think that's one of the things that has helped you grow so quickly in just a little bit over 2 years? Or do you think there's other aspects or skills that, help you get to? Because I remember like literally last year in the conference, you were talking about, I think your second photographer, and you were like, I think struggling. Now you have 14 people. Is that what you said? Like in total? Just insane. Yeah. So like, what do you think was that skill that got you to, it's only been a little bit over 2 years. That's insane. That's quick growth right there. But yeah, that's my question, if that made sense.
Today I was doing my slides for my talk or whatever at the conference. And I was like, I have a slide that says 1 year ago today, I was here about to fire my first photographer. Like, that's where I was.
Yeah.
And we did. Jared's like, fire him. I'm like, I'm doing it. So I got, because he just wasn't, I made them, it was my fault. You know,
Yeah.
I hired the wrong person. So yeah, so it's like crazy to think where it's been. It is definitely action, Kenny. Like, just don't overthink it. I'm like just doing it. It's been action. And then it's been my willingness to get in front of people in person and to put our personal brand at the forefront of our business online and things like that. Like, yes, you might be like, oh, well, you're an extrovert. It's fine. It's easy for you. I mean, it's still intimidating to walk into a room of realtors and have to, you know, they're all in their little talking in their little, you know, groups, and you have to go up and be like, hey, like it's difficult. And my husband, I had, you know, he was like, I'm going to make myself do it. He's not as much of a extrovert as I am, but forcing yourself to just show up and literally recognizing that, like, you're not alone. Like, everyone in this room, like, most of them don't want to be there. So you're actually doing them a favor by like just talking to them and asking them about themselves. So I think it was just the willingness to like do the work. And when I found bursts of energy, I just capitalized on them. And then there's times when I'd be like, I'm just like burnt out, and I would give myself some grace, and I would go and I would, you know, take a day off or something like that. But it was definitely the action, and then just like getting out in front of people and asking for things. Can I come into your brokerage? Can I have an opportunity to shoot a listing for you? People want to help people. So just ask.
Awesome.
And, you know, you're going to get some people that'll say no. Okay, sweet, whatever. Move on.
Like, action taking. Like, you're not waiting for the opportunity to happen. Like, you're going out there making the work and putting in the work and just asking, like, can I speak at your brokerage? Can I meet with people? Something that I've noticed about like you, Eli, like people that are successful is like, I think you guys like maybe do it on purpose or not, but like you gave yourself options and you're just like, here's option one. I could hide and it's easier and I don't want to do this, it's too scary. Or you can be like, or I can just do it, it's scary, but like the upside of this is much better than this one's easier, but this one's harder to do, but there's just more upside, and you just go for it and you take the action and you don't try to double think. You're just like, you just go all in, which I love.
Yeah, I think one's easier, to do nothing, but one's more painful, and I think that's to do nothing. It's like, which pain would you rather? Everything's hard, like nothing, like everything's hard. The easy stuff is hard because you're going to feel so much pain from it because you are pissed at yourself because you're not doing anything and you're not living up to your potential. And like, that's where anxiety comes from. Yeah. So it's either like the pain of regret or the pain of success. And again, you're in choice on that.
I was talking with Kenny about this, and I think it's something I'm curious of your thoughts on this, Colleen, but the worst times, I mean, let's talk about your business, right? I mean, there are times that are truly like awful in life, but for your business, the times you consider like the hard times, those you look back on and think of as like the good old days. So I was talking with Kenny, he tried to lump himself out of, he was like, you two are successful and like, I got to bring him into the successful crowd. He's built our video editing business, which is big. I mean, he edited a big team. And we were talking back to like a couple years ago when he was still editing the videos himself. And it was, most people probably didn't think he was, because it was like dozens of videos per night he was editing himself. And all of this at the same time, I just moved to Florida the first time. So this is like 2 or 3 years ago. And he moved because he was like, we're making this happen. He's like, I'm moving where Eli is. We're building a business, right? But his apartment wasn't ready. So he was living in like a pretty disgusting extended stay hotel. Horrible. And so people have it worse, but it was not great. And so he was staying up all night editing videos and he was pissed about it. Like, what a good attitude, but like, come on, you're editing all night. And now in the moment, I had to talk to him every day. It was like, we did therapy, we kept him going. And now it's like, I don't want to speak for you, Kenny, but that's like a big source of pride. And like, you think of it fondly.
So, absolutely. Yes. I mean, it's, I talk a lot about it with just friends, like whoever knew that I was going through that, but like, it's a funny memory, but also like something to be proud of. It's like, yeah, I was in this extended stay and, you know, having the schedule of like, all right, 7 p.m., you know, time to get to work till 3 a.m. and then let's go to bed a little bit, wake up at 6 a.m. because I got to deliver the video.
You had to do rep work too. He was
And
working
rep
like
on
2
top of
businesses
that.
at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's when you're made. Like those
Yeah.
hard times, like that's when you're made, and it just gives you what you need to get to the next level. So yeah, I definitely look on the beginning of things and is like, oh my God, the good old days. And I'll look on that in a few years, it'll be right now, you know?
Yeah, no, that's the continuation of the attitude, right? It's when you have a hard time now, you're like, okay, this will be awesome 24 months from now. Freaking sucks right now because a lot of times it does. I mean, it doesn't.
Feels like an eternity. I will say that, but like it really, I don't know. Like we started this 3 years ago, like not a long time too, and
Like
it's
not
just
that long ago.
yeah,
No, it's like gone. Yeah,
It shows how much you can get done. Like literally, your
Yes.
whole life can change in like 6 months or a year if you
Yes.
just decide to go all in and burn the freaking ships.
yeah.
It's either
scary.
I like what you said. It's either like you regret not doing it, wondering what could have happened, or you just suck it up for the few months, knowing that the future can be bright. And I've mentioned this a lot of time. Like it can be small or big, but like the times that I've actually regretted stuff or stuff that I could have done, I'm like, oh, why didn't I do this? Like I could have actually done it. You know, it's not because I did it. That's not what I regret. And if it's a mistake, I just laugh about it. It's just like, well, it is what it is. It happened. But I regret more not doing whatever the stuff was.
Yeah.
All right, here's a great one from Mr. Chris. Shout out to Chris. He's built an awesome business. He was started in launch and now he's in our Ford program and he's crushing. Anyway, what was the best and worst use of your time when you started out, Colleen?
Hi, Chris. I would say the the worst use of my time was being in my head about, telling myself shit that I couldn't do, instead of focusing on, what I actually can control. Or the worst use of my time would be getting in that thing that it's so hard not to get in this, but like looking at all of your competitors and psyching yourself out and telling yourself that you can't start a business here because A, B, C, and D already exist. Like it's such a bad use of your time. And it's literally your brain like just looking for excuses to keep you where you're at because it wants to keep you safe. So anything that involved that was definitely a bad use of my time, as well as focusing on things that didn't matter, like just like needing everything perfect before I launched, like needing my website to like look beautiful, like spending like hours on my website, like crying about my website because I like, can't figure out how to work Wix Builder and like, and then no one looks at your website anyways. They're always like, "What are your prices?" I'm like, right here. So I would say that was kind of part of the worst time, and just. We didn't focus too much on like spending too much time on like getting the cameras thing right. Like we really did. I'm just like, we shot our house and my parents' house, and then we were like, let's get out of here. So the best use of our time was definitely fully diving into setting up HD Photo Hub. At the time, we now use Spiro, but like understanding the power of that, and like if I had Spiro now, like really setting up the tasks in the workflows. Of course, you're going to need jobs to test those, but I think setting up the key things. I mean, if Spiro's not the first thing you need to do, the first thing you need to do is create your Instagram, get your business and start finding clients. So the best use of my time was definitely like, I tried to go to like anything that I could. I'm like, let me show up. My mom had one friend that was a realtor. So I like tried to make her my best friend. And like, now she's like one of my like worst clients, but
Yes.
And, whatever, we don't need to focus on that. So the best use of my time was definitely just showing up. Like, how can I make myself known? How can I get more people to see my face, Tim's face, and things like that. Like, that's the only thing you really need to focus on, and building those relationships. Because those little key relationships, those first homies that you're going to find, those like raving fans, they're going to be out there like doing your sales, for you. Like, it was building relationships, because what really catapulted our business was all of a sudden referrals just started to like take over. And it was because of all that like initial groundwork. Even when I felt like it wasn't working, it was because people would be like, "Oh yeah, I know Colleen. I met her once." They're like, "Yeah, we use her. I love her business." And they're like, "Oh, maybe I should use her, and it came from the relationship. So I don't know. That was long-winded, but that's what I would say.
No, that was perfect. I don't know if anybody else has this problem. I think it's just me, but I can't stop nodding and saying yes when you talk. I know it's with a lot of guests, but you especially, Colleen. I'm like, yes, yes. And shut up, Eli. Let them listen to Colleen. Anyway, along those lines, so I want to talk about how you did, customer acquisition and stuff like that, because you mentioned you got in front of people, and that's a huge, you did that very well. And then I want to go to like culture, team building. Sophie, you have a great question. So yeah, I guess the next question is Jay's. Where do the majority of your customers come from? Instagram method, outbound method, open houses. How do you get customers, especially at the start?
Outbound method didn't exist when I was trying to get clients. That term at least didn't exist. I definitely did the Instagram method. We did so many free shoots, like so many free shoots. And I talked about this last year when we presented at the conference on like our first like 100K. And I think we did over 100K. And I was like, the amount of free shoots that I did, our revenue would have been way higher, but it also wouldn't have been what it was if I didn't do the free shoots. So it's like, you can still make a ton of money doing all those free shoots. That really worked for us. Shot free shoots all the time. Did they always come back? No, but I didn't focus on them. I focused on the ones that actually did come back. So definitely the IG method. I made sure we were like people on Instagram too. Like I'll get people that
killed it at that, by the way. Absolutely killed it.
People reach out to me and they're like, I'm doing the IG method. It's not really working. And I say, send me your Instagram. And I go to their Instagram. They've got 7 posts. I don't know who they are. I don't know what their face is like. And I don't even know sometimes where they're located. I'm like, you can reach out to all the people that you want, but if they don't, they're going to look at your page. If they don't see you working with other people or see you actually doing stuff, they're not going to want to use you. People want what other people have, like, especially realtors. They're like, need other people to do it for like them to do it. So like I posted my parents' house like 15 times when we were trying to get clients, because it took us months to get our first clients. Like it wasn't like I showed up my face and like a month and a half later we were getting clients. Like it was like months. Like I felt like, is this ever going to happen? But it totally did. And then it snowballed. So definitely IG method, and then going out in front of people, whether that was, yes, we would do open houses sometimes, but mostly I just tried to figure out where all the realtors are going. Here they do like a ton of stuff. They're like, mastermind this and this and that. Sometimes I show up and it's like an awesome event. Sometimes I show up and it like totally sucks, but I just focus on like talking to, I can just like talk to like literally one person, not just like, hi, I'm Colleen. No, like actually talk to them. That's all you need. You don't have to talk to everybody in the room.
What kept you from not fully quitting or just being like, oh, it's not working. It's been a few months. Haven't even gotten a shoot yet. So I'm just, probably not for me. Moving on to the next thing.
I relied a lot on the evidence that other people were doing it, like seeing other people in the group, sharing their stories about their struggles and then how they overcame it, and just seeing other people do it. I'm like, if other people are doing it, as long as I do the things that literally Eli's telling me to do, because that's who taught us. As long as I do those things and I don't give myself much excuses and I take action, like it's gonna happen. It's got to, like it will. So that's what I did. It was like,
it's hard to do it in the moment. I always forget that part of your story. It just seems so fast that like I forget, because I remember you talking about that. There was like that slow period where you're like, what the heck is this? And then it just hit.
Oh my gosh, we got like finally like somebody hired us for like $95 to go shoot drone photos, and then
that's $95 of your life right there.
Yeah, we get there though. Tim and I drive out there. We can't launch the drone. Cannot figure it out. Like couldn't figure it out. It was like too near an airport. Like it ended up being like we knew how to unlock the drone, but there was something wrong with that specific drone. Whatever, I don't know. Tim's the drone expert. We like couldn't get it to launch, and I'm like, I was distraught. I'm like, we have to do this. So we just took ground photos. We got like every angle on the ground, delivered them to the client, told her that like, we're so sorry we couldn't launch the drone. We went back again, tried to launch the drone, couldn't launch it. Gave her these photos and she was like, oh, those actually look pretty good. Thank you. Here's your $95. Like, okay.
That's awesome. I think you told me that. I just like am now connecting the dots. That's amazing.
No, and then it took like weeks for us to get our next page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Or free. Yeah.
So you obviously grew since then. I think everybody's caught that by now.
Yes.
pivoting like the other side of the equation, something I actually think without a lot of info on how you do things, I think this is a strong suit of yours. You've built a great team. Can you, I guess, share just a little bit about like your thoughts on team building, training your wherever you want to take that question?
Yes. Okay. Yes. This is about my favorite part is like, and it's been very challenging too, because you really test yourself. But like, my favorite part has been like building a team. And I feel like I was obsessed with like gaining the best understanding I could of what it actually means to be a leader. And something that I say is success isn't something you pursue, it is something you attract. So I felt that I need to attract good team members. I need to attract good people that I can teach to become photographers. Like it starts with me. It starts with me and my husband, with us. We have to live in that third layer of a relationship. And this goes for your clients too. So the 3 levels of a relationship are, it's all about me. Okay. No, you don't want to live there. You won't go very far. The second one is maybe where a lot of people tend to live, which is tit for tat or equality. I give this, you must give me this. And then the third layer is your needs are my needs. So as a leader, I think that you need to always live in the third layer of a relationship and truly putting understanding each of my photographers for who they are, what their needs are, what their personality type is like, how I can be there for them, how I can make them become a better like individual, and just listen to them. They're automatically going to want to work harder for us, for business. Like they're going to feel like they're getting a lot out of it. And ultimately it's going to benefit Three Palms Media, but it's not like why I do it, because that would kind of be in the equality layer of a relationship. I just know how beneficial it's been for me and just believing in people. So that's like the core of the culture that I try to do. And anytime something goes wrong, like if a photographer forgets photos or something, it's my fault. It's my fault. It's never their fault. I always look at it as it's my fault. What did I not do to not train them properly? And yeah, I mean, there's time we fired our first photographer. So it's not like you keep yourself stuck by like, oh, it's my fault that this person just doesn't do their job well at all. But always coming back to that and kind of being more in that servant leadership. That's the culture of our company. And that's why we've gotten so many people to do so well for us. Like our VA is like literally like built my whole freaking half of my business. And now she's got a team of 3 people. I empowered her to be a leader, and like, they're absolutely crushing it. And like at our team meeting yesterday, I had one of my, star photographers. I said, you're really great at directing agents on camera. I would love for you to lead our team meeting and teach on how you get such great feedback with doing this. So making it about them and not about us and Three Palms Media and our success is like the core of the culture, and how people have like wanted to stick around. And like now my photographers like want to train the new photographers. Like they want those opportunities. So yeah.
You learn that fast.
Thanks.
Comparatively. I mean, I don't know if I just, need to smack my head against the wall a couple of times, but it took me so long to figure that out. I don't know what it was. I think I saw a lot of, like sometimes the leadership that you see is the loud leadership where it's more like drill sergeant leadership. And I was like, that's not me. That's just not who I am as a person. Like it's uncomfortable for me to do that. And so I just kind of like didn't do any form of leadership for the first while. And so then I figured out there's like, that's a type of leadership, but there's other ones. And I think, so do you see like, if you grow as a leader, is that the most valuable thing you can do for your company? Or like, where do you feel that your skills most benefit the company right now? And what do you prioritize day to day in terms of?
I think the most valuable thing I can do as a leader is understand myself better and work on myself as a person. Because if I understand, if I'm good with me, then I could be like, in order to be a leader, you have to lead yourself first. Like if you don't have the ability to lead yourself first, like you're not going to survive leading other people, and then nothing's going to work. Or you're not going to survive leading your clients. Say you don't want to build a team like mine. You still have to be able to lead your clients, lead your VA. And if you're not good with you, then you're not going to be able to do that. So that looks like understanding who you are, what are your limiting beliefs? Why do they exist? What program are you running that you're not even aware of? Is definitely where I start. And that comes from things like getting a mentor, somebody who can really help kind of dissect that and break that down. I didn't just dissect my whole self like by myself. I had to seek that out. So that, I believe, is the best thing, because like I said, like I am the leader, like it's my business. If I'm not operating, it's like in your cost method, like the cog is always the owner.
Yep.
So I constantly like focus on that, but for the benefit of the whole team.
Yeah. I agree with that. What Joanne said, it's really good advice for any business niche. It's so funny how it's all actually the same. It's just a vehicle. It's all the same, which is beautiful if you think about it, because it's not like you learn all these skills that don't apply anywhere else. You know what I mean? It's like they're just super beneficial. It's cool.
And I love that you were talking about your team specifically, but I'm sure you're using this for your clients too. Like what's in it for them rather than like what's in it for me. And I think that's one of the things that has helped you build an awesome business so quickly as well, because I mean, they see that and they can feel that. And, when you're a genuine person, and I've said this so many times, but like people love working with people, not just a business. And you've been able to do that as well, because like, that's just within you, you're trying to do that with your team and you're trying to do that with your clients.
Just give, like, even sometimes when it hurts and you're like, all right, you win, like that's fine. It can hurt when you feel like they were the one that didn't communicate when you asked, or this or that, or giving stuff away for free. Like when you get mixed up about that and you feel like that hurts, like you're living in that first layer of the relationship, and it's not going to work. Like the more you live in the third layer, like you're building a foundation. You can't just expect to be super successful in your business like day one or year two. I mean, it depends on your business and stuff like that. We're still investing so much in Three Palms Media. Like I'm not like swimming in money over here. I'm really working on the foundation, even though you look at maybe our yearly revenue this year and you're like, oh my gosh, we're still investing a lot in those client relationships, in our photographers, things like that. I saw somebody ask, can you give an example of how you nurture your employees? How do you discover their needs and mentor them? We do bi-weekly meetings where we all meet in the same room. We do a 30, 60 day, 90-day check-in when we're onboarding them. And then we do continuous one-on-ones like every other month after that, or as needed. I ask them, how do you feel like you're doing? How can I help you with anything that's going on in your life? Tell me about you as a person. What are some of your goals? Like one of our guys is a DJ, like he DJs on like nights and weekends and stuff. How can I help your DJ business? Sat down with him. He helped him become a business owner instead of just a DJ. So that's an example. And it wasn't, somebody could be like, oh, well, I don't want to help him be a DJ because what if he gets so successful and then he leaves me? Okay, then I did my job. Like I'll find somebody else. So that would be an example.
Yeah. Have you read the book, The Go-Giver, Colleen?
No.
Okay. It's like what you're talking about. And I love it. It's how I try to, as much as possible, like approach how I handle things. And I think you'd like it. It's a great book. I mean, you could have written it actually, but I think you'll like it as well. So
I'm going to write it down right now. The Go-Giver.
It's funny. I talk about it occasionally. It's like it's the only fiction book that I've ever recommended, I think. So it's like written in the context of a story, which is, if you know me, it's weird because I only like to watch documentaries and like, I'm just that way. But it's really good. And I recommend everybody read it, especially if you, I mean, everybody's saying it in the comments, right?
The whole team read it at REPP.
Yeah. I mean, it's I'll let Aaron on the team speak for it. 2 hours long, life-changing audiobook. Yeah. It's short too. It's great. Isaac too on the team. By the way, if you see these two, I wonder if Lisa's in here as
Lisa was in there as well. Yeah.
They are on the REPP team. So if you're like, why are Aaron, Isaac, and Lisa answering all these questions? It's because they're on the REPP team trying to help you out. So, man, there was a question I wanted to ask you, Colleen. I'm trying to remember it. I'm trying to talk long enough where it doesn't seem like I forgot it, but I forgot. Let's pull up another one in here. Let's see. Do you see any good ones, Kenny? I'm trying to find a good one. Oh, Lisa, there you are right there. Hello. Okay. There was a great one up here. I'm trying to, oh yes, this. When people ask me this question, I hate it because I'm always like, I don't know what I'm doing. What's the end goal with your business, Colleen? You're like, what's the future? How about that? What does the next year look like for Three Palms, you, that kind of stuff?
Yes. So the intention that I had when I started the business in the first place was I wanted to become a leader. I wanted to build a team, and I wanted to create an asset for my family, myself, my husband, and I. So an asset would be, something that produces, income for us without us being heavily involved all the time. So it's a great question because I don't know like the end date on that or anything like that, but we are working to build a business that I would like to hire somebody to run it and it just kind of work for us, but probably still own it and provide mentorship to those leaders that are going to be leading Three Palms Media one day. I don't think I'm necessarily very near that. The first person I really need to empower to kind of take over more of the business part is my husband, getting him to learn a little bit more of the business side. But I would love one day to only be involved from the thing that I love to do, which is the person side of it, the leadership side of it, the mindset side of it. I don't want to know about like the drone not working and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
But over the next 2 years or so, I want to continue to saturate ourselves within Southwest Florida where we are. It's a very large range. So we are still pretty stretched because agents that have listings down in Marco Island also have listings super north. So we kind of were forced to have a big market. I need to kind of saturate that. I'd like to continue to develop some leaders within our team over the next few years and get some better leadership, not better, just create leadership in our company and be able to continue. We went on a 3-week vacation for the first time this past summer. Actually, I told you my VA ran the business while we were away. That was an interim solution. Now we have Jensen, my admin, on our team, but I plan to go away to Italy for 4 weeks this summer. So that's kind of our biggest goal.
I love that you did that, by the way. That's like the
I
ultimate.
can't believe I did that.
I know. Like the amount of people that actually there's people that have the ability to do it. The amount of people that actually go is so low. And it's such a good, I mean, it's great. First of all, you got to go on and enjoy it. That's like the whole point of owning a business. You get to do what you want sometimes, not all the time, because a lot of times the business takes your attention, right? But yeah. I love that you did that. Okay, we'll talk. I want to get you to answer this question in a second and talk with Fabio about this.
Yes.
But first, for those that have a company, they've started to scale, they have a team, how scary was it when you left? How bad was it? And what'd you learn?
Super scary. Like it is, like it's scary. I have a hard time with this. It is difficult for me to relinquish that control. I deal with this now still. Like I just talked to my admin and my husband about this yesterday. Like we always talk about me stepping out of Slack, not being so involved in Slack. And like I creep my freaking way back in there. And it's like, again, it's me. I'm not demonstrating what I need to demonstrate there because you just need to give the reins over to people and have faith in them and allow them to do their jobs. And if you believe in them and they see that you believe in them, they're going to want to ride for you. They're going to want to prove it to themselves. They're going to want to do those things. So it was difficult. Like I left literally Febby in the Philippines in charge of my business for 3 weeks. It was wild. And I would check in with her and stuff. But I again, like I always look to people that are ahead of me or where I want to be. And so I have Eli and the Eli camp, the REPP camp telling me, this is the best thing that you can do. You've got to let it ride. Have it, whatever's going to burn, let it burn, and you'll fix it when you get back. And so I just put my faith in what people are telling me to do that are already doing what I want to do. Like I am not special. I always go back to that. I'm not special. I'm just going to follow what they told me. So that is what I focus on. And I'm out of Slack now. I'm removing myself again from Slack.
That's crazy.
I'm not going to let myself creep back in there.
Yeah, that's like scary. I get like low level anxiety when I'm not like, you know what I mean? I'm checking. I'm like, all right, nothing's broken. It is interesting. I think we kind of talked about it earlier, but one of the ways that you do that successfully is it's not for everybody here. It's not just leave your team, right? It's build the team into the company and the people that can actually run it, and then let them run it. And one of the ways you do that, we were this is like a long point, but I'm gonna wrap it around here in a second. We were talking last week. Ariane on our Philippines-based team, she's a VA. I don't know, she's not a VA. She's like an integral part of the team. It's not just like someone we have do some work for us. But she the other day, we pay very well. Like we were looking it up, and I'm like, Kenny sent the equivalent. I was like, wow, like we're paying like enough for someone in the US to have a decent salary to someone in the Philippines. And it was so awesome because she, first of all, she's the most loyal person ever. Like we're so grateful to have her on the team. I don't know if she watches these Q&As. Would it be fun if she did? But anyway, she's too busy like actually running the business. Anyway, she goes, it was like this crazy attitude thing. There was the typhoon that hit, right? And I asked her how she was doing, how her family was, and she goes, the water's not knee deep. We're good. I said, well, how deep is the water, Ariane? And you know what I mean? It was like, she was saying the water in their house was not knee deep. And she was positive about that. She's like, I just worked on the second floor. And I immediately felt bad because I took like 3 hours off that day because there was a small leak in my roof. And I was like, that's crazy. Like that's a different level of human being, but it's even cooler. She was like, she bought a rental property. And she's like becoming a landlord. And I was like, that's amazing. Like she's out there just crushing it. And so this is not me saying I'm a great person, we pay her so well. It's me saying like, if you want something, like that third level of leadership, I've never heard of it said that way. I love it though. If you're actually even if you're trying to get the most for yourself, you don't do that by taking the most for yourself. You do that by giving people the opportunity to build their dreams as well. And the bigger your business gets, the more opportunity you have to do that. And I think that's like the really fun part of building a business. I was like, what in the heck is this? She's become like, I told Kenny, I was like, we're behind. She has rental properties. Like, what are we doing over here? And I thought that was super cool. And like same with the thing is too, it's not just you pay everybody well. So we have people on our team who are paid very, very well. Like it's always like a year in advance where I'm like, dang, like I didn't even make that much. That's crazy. How are you're killing it so much faster than me? So you balance that with you only let people who really earn it get in those roles. Mm-hmm. And so if you do those two things, it's crazy. And it's a constant reminder, like I have to put on myself. I don't know if you're this way, Colleen, but and Kenny helps me with this a ton. I just see the good in everybody, and I do what they label it as ruinous empathy, where I just like give. And I'm not saying that as like I'm great. I'm saying that as I'm weak in that scenario. And so Kenny balances me out with that. How are you with that? Are you like a people pleaser, Colleen, or like what's your like? How are you as a leader?
I mean, I think that you do need to give people the opportunity to, show you who they are without, judging them off the bat. So I do, operate under the assumption that their intentions are pure until they show me that they're not. So I do love, I guess I do struggle with that a little bit. I think I'm pretty similar to Eli, is that sometimes I'm like, oh, did I give too much to where it's like teetering that line of like, maybe I'm creating something that I don't need to create. But I'm big on just going with my gut too, because I feel like it never leads me astray, and then just bouncing ideas when I need to bounce off of them. But I can be somewhat of a people pleaser. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we had a situation with my admin yesterday, and I've had her out and about doing a lot of stuff with me. She's so good on site. Like, oh my gosh, she's so good on site, but she gets so behind. And I was like, she loves being on site. And I'm like, oh my gosh, am I being a people pleaser here by like continuing to have her go out on site? So I was going to talk to her about it, but she brought it up first. And she said, I think for the best thing for the business is to keep me
wow.
in this.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
That's amazing. Yeah.
That's amazing. And it's because of all the other things that we've done with her. And like, she feels empowered, and she cares about our business. And that was one of the reasons that, we hired her. She knows we care about her. So she cares about us in return. And she's like, I think that we need to keep me more in the office because it gets us behind and we've missed a couple things. And I was like, sounds good.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's a hard line. I think, I mean, Kenny will tell you this because Kenny like balances me out, but I go way too much on like, And it's interesting. It's like every leader has their weaknesses, and I think mine is definitely that. And the funny thing about that is it's also a strength when you're first starting. So it's like the people who grow the fastest at the start are usually the people pleasers because they're good at making people happy. But it also
Yeah.
like makes it so hard to build a team. Like I know for a fact, I'm saying this in front of Kenny, but I know for a fact he's like, what is Eli doing? Like, stop that. And he's not excited about it when I do that too. And so that's the cool thing is like when you build a team that is really great, they tell you. And so that's, I think the next part you have, this is like me telling my experience, but also saying the next thing for you that I think you'll really love, Colleen, is when you really start to build not saying you don't have an actual leadership team, but there's a certain point where you have people that will just literally be like, the heck are you doing? And that's like the most fun part of the business because then your weaknesses, they have strength. It's amazing.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that, to like a real, leadership.
No, it's so good. It's so much less stress. People think when you grow a business, it's more stressful. I'm like, every stage my business has gotten bigger, it's easier because I actually have people who know what they're doing. You know what I mean? It's not like just you making decisions and a bunch of photographers, nothing on photographers, but you didn't hire them to be a leader. And so anyway, okay, there was that question I wanted to have you chat on, and then I'll let you run because you've already over-delivered. So thank you for that, Colleen. Do you have time for one more question?
Yeah, I have time. I have time for anything.
Here it is. So we talked about scaling and leadership. For people just starting that are intimidated by other photographers, competition, I guess talk directly to those people.
Yeah. It's like such a part of the human condition to look at your competition and psych yourself out and allow yourself to be intimidated by other photographers, or other businesses. But I would challenge you to look at that as evidence of what you can get to be instead of what you are not. So if you can look at it and say, wow, that's awesome. They're doing XYZ. That's what I have to look forward to. What can you, and then what do you have to do to get there? So what are the things that you actually can control versus the things that you cannot? You cannot control the competition around you. You cannot control their abilities and whatever they're doing, but you can control what you're doing and you can control what you're focusing on. And you never know what is going on in someone else's world, someone else's business, where they're at. Like what you see is what they want you to see. Don't operate off of that. You have no idea what's going on. Another thing that, you can't control that, but you can control you and how you react to that. So for somebody like you, Fabio, I would say, why is it that you're feeling so intimidated by the other photographers? What is it inside you? Is it, oh, well, I can't do it? Well, why do you think you can't do it? When else in your life have you tried to do something and you haven't been able to do that? And what was it that you could have done better? Like, it's not about these other photographers. It's about you. What is it inside of you that's telling yourself the lie that you can't do it? And like, when are you going to stop telling yourself that story
and making it true by saying that?
Yeah.
You know what's interesting too? If you think about it, if fear of other photographers stops you from starting your business, they already did the worst thing that they can possibly do to you, right? They've made you $0. So any shoots you get are better than the scenario you're in right now, right? Because at least you're making some. So it's like they've already done their worst to you. That is competition putting you out of business right there. It's preventing you from starting. And that's like another way to think about it too, that may potentially help you, is like, you've already impacted yourself in the worst way possible. And so everything else is upside. Another side of it is we are like, all of us here are so lucky because we compete with photographers. Guys, like literally out of all of the people in the business world you could compete with, you want to compete with photographers. Trust me. Because most of them, and I say this with all the love in the world, I have a photography business. I teach photographers. Most of them suck at running a business. So if you're going to pick a competitor, again, not saying this a little rudely, but not super rudely, like you're literally competing with generally the easiest group of people to compete with because there's not a lot of business sense in the photo world. Yeah. It just is what it is. And so it's like you have a lot of advantage. And like Colleen said, it's figure out what the fear is and then start giving yourself reasons why that fear shouldn't hold you back. Yeah. And usually it's just go for it, Colleen.
I was gonna say, I see that Fabio responded again and said they offer more than what I can offer at the moment.
Mm.
Do you see that you just so we answered one question and you just went to find something else as a reason on why you can't do it. So
Mm.
you're, you know, I don't mean to pick on you. This is such part, like this is, I do it, like this is so human. You are now, well, oh well, I can't offer what they can offer. Okay, so what? Go
What?
figure out how to offer what they can't offer. And if it's, oh, well, I can't buy the drone or I can't buy this. It's not about your resources. It's how resourceful you are. Figure out a way that you can go and make some money from just shooting photos or just having an iPhone making a reel or whatever that you have at your disposal. Go out and find a way to do that so that you can start, you know, creating more income for yourself or creating more of a name for yourself. Like this, every day you are going to battle yourself. We all do it. Eli does it. Kenny does it. I do it every day. Like you are your own worst battle. You're just finding ways to run into a wall. And it's just because it's literally part of like the human experience. Like your brain is always constantly scanning for evidence of why you can't do that, why you can't excel, why you can't get out of your comfort zone. It's keeping you down. It's going to always keep you right here. It's what it's designed to do. It's actually why we are able to
Trying to keep you alive.
Yeah, it's trying to keep you alive. You know, if there's a bear chasing you, like we love this for us because like this, it's gonna say run, it's gonna say get out of here, things like that. Your instincts and stuff like that, like that's a good fear, right? It's that fear is going to be in you and you're going to run, or you're somewhere late at night and someone's coming up behind you and chasing you, like you run, like that. That's good fear. But this fake fear of my competitors or I can't offer what they offer, like that's fake. That isn't true. And it really starts with you. So you're going to make excuse after excuse after excuse. Just know that's the way we're built. Once you know that, it's like the knowledge is power. Like knowledge is the precursor to the experience. So if you know something, you can experience it differently. So I would just challenge you to really think about, you know, all these questions that come up to you or all these limiting things that you're placing on yourself. And at the end of it, it's just, do you actually want to do this? And if you do, you can go get it.
Yeah. You can think of, like you said, Colleen, you can think of things that you can offer. There's always going to be stuff that you like, let's say it was, you actually can't do it. Well, and even in that case, you know, pivoting to, well, what can I offer that they can't? You know, when you're first starting, every position has advantages, right? So Colleen's business can't offer the same level of personalized service that you can right now because Colleen's not shooting the house. Colleen's not answering the phone, right? You're answering the phone. You're personally shooting the house. You're delivering the photos and you have no other clients. You know, they can't be, you know, you can't be their only client, right? Or the opposite is what I'm trying to say. And Colleen can't do that in her business. She can't be only focused on one client. It's impossible. And so you have to look for the things you can do. And then one more thing, and you know, for everybody as well, when you're scared of something is when you know it's growing you. Like that, it's like literally a red flag in the best possible way. You said, Colleen, you were scared of speaking first. I had no idea. I thought that was just something you did. Like you're like, I got to do this. Like I got to do it. I got to commit. Kenny, he's been dreading. He's speaking. He's freaking out about it. I was freaking out for like a month and a half before our first conference. I had like the most imposter syndrome, right? And now I look and I'm not saying I'm so great, right? Like I still get scared, but I know and look for things that scare me because those are the things that actually grow the business. And so this is actually a beautiful thing, like that you're scared. You know, this means you have to launch the business. Like this is the next thing for you. If you've decided that, right? And so think of the fear as a positive thing.
It's the worst thing that can happen is literally nothing happens, nothing works, and you're in the same situation that you're in right now. So like
a little bit of a bruise ego.
Yeah. There's only upside from here now.
Yeah. The worst thing to happen, you fail, and then what can you learn in that? What's the gift in that? Okay, great. Go use that. And it's literally law of averages. Just keep sending offers, keep asking, keep trying to find people. Like there's an endless sea. You had
Colleen, you had that one story. I don't remember the details and don't feel the need to share it, but like that client that said something kind of rude about you after you left. I don't remember the details. Yeah. You got no's. It wasn't like everybody told you yes, you know, there's always that. It's crazy.
No, of course we got
Yeah.
no's. Yeah, people
Yeah.
are like, "Oh, you guys aren't good enough." And they said that we weren't good enough. I heard them talking about us after a brokerage presentation. Oh, I didn't see anything that I was impressed by. They're not good enough. And I was like, took a minute to like throw a pity party for myself and be like, "We're not good enough." And I was like, "Nah, whatever. We're good enough. We can do that." And then I made it my mission to get that freaking client, and I did.
That's my
And now
favorite.
that whole brokerage uses us.
There you
Yeah.
go. No, it's so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Aaron brought this up, and it was going back, you like we were talking about, there's strengths in every position. I'm sure, Colleen, you'd say this true in your business too, but it's so easy to take a client from Norman and Young. We have, not that the team's bad, it's just there's multiple people. You can't provide that same level of service. And so you always have to play your strengths. And so think about that. The big companies, the ones that are established, they're worried about you starting and you're worried about them. And both of you can grow. That's the beautiful thing. It's not at the expense. You're not taking from somebody.
Definitely. We've lost clients. How like you'll say that the clients that are going to build your business to that first, step that you really want it to be at aren't the ones that are going to carry your business to the next step. Those are the clients that want that personalized touch, that want it to be the same person that shows up every time. We've lost those clients to people that can provide that service. That's great. We went and found more clients, so that's so
Big
true.
market. Yeah, big market out there and lots of potential. Any quick parting thoughts, Colleen? Sorry, I did like the last question and then I kept you for 4 more questions. Any parting thoughts to everybody here?
I would just say that it definitely, like, it all starts and ends with you. Whatever story you're telling yourself, you're the one making it true. So literally at any time, you can change that story. Like I would tell you to ask whatever's coming up for you, have it come up, and then say to yourself, when am I going to stop telling myself that story? When am I going to stop telling myself that story? What can I actually control? How can I shift my perspective to look at it from a positive manner so that I experience anticipation and experience faith, which is going to make my actions fall in line with that. So it really all starts and ends with you. Everything that you need to know about how to actually tactically do real estate media is all over the internet and all around you. It's not what's stopping you. You're what's stopping you. And the good thing is once you do that, you keep learning. And like, Eli, you talk about things that, you're like, oh, well, I'm not nervous now to go do this one thing, but I'm sure there is a whole list of things that are scaring you and that you're nervous about. But now you're like, oh, well, I recognize this. I recognize this feeling. I had it before. I accomplished it. Wow, look at me now. I have evidence now that I can go do it again. So that's how you kind of stack that belief. And then all of a sudden you like look back and you're like, dang, wow, I did it. I've come so far. Now I know I can go even further. So that's what I've got.
That was beautiful. That was like, everybody's gonna think that was prepared. That was just Colleen, everybody. There was zero prep. I didn't even know the questions before. So Colleen, always a pleasure. Thank you again. I'm excited for your talk. I guess we should end with that. You can't get an in-person ticket. You missed out. Colleen pushed, we pushed. If you didn't get a ticket, it's sad, but you can still get a virtual ticket. So Kenny, can you throw that link in the chat? You can still listen to Colleen. You don't get to meet her, which is quite sad.
Get a virtual ticket. Do it. Like literally do it. It's like literally one of the best things that you could do. Like go listen to other people talk about their businesses because everyone does it differently. My business is for sure different than Norman and Young. It's built on a lot of the same principles, but we have varying opinions on certain things because they work for me as a person or our style, stuff like that. So going and hearing a bunch of different people talk about what they do, it's like you'll never know who you'll like resonate with, and you'll get that energy, you'll get that spark, and you'll be re-energized to go and do that thing. Like put yourself in the room, like the virtual room, with people that are doing the same things that you're doing or doing it, at a higher level or lower level, whatever. There's always stuff to learn. So it's like literally one of the best things that you can do. It will give you energy. It will give you that moment of like, I can do this. And then just act from that point. Just do it. Like when I was like, I'm going to ask to speak twice. Can I speak twice? Oh shit. Should I say that? Yes. Okay. Now I'm speaking twice, and it's going to be great. So definitely get that link from Kenny. I'll be there. I'm speaking twice, so it'll be great. And
Colleen,
so many
thank you
other
so
great
much.
people too. Like so many cool speakers.
Yeah. Always our absolute pleasure having you. Thank you so much, Colleen. Have a great night. We're gonna sit here and talk takeaways. So
Yes.
yeah, thanks, Colleen. See you later.
Bye.
See ya. Oh, Mr. Tim is here too. All right, takeaways, everybody. We got to jump into some of those. That's how we wrap it. It's the most important part, to actually take something away and apply it. So post in the comments what you thought. I know it kind of sounds elementary saying takeaways and making you type that, but I promise it isn't. What are some things that stuck out to you, or that everybody hears something different when people are talking, but talking about what someone said is when a lot of the ideas stick. So yeah, big thank you to Colleen, and thank you to Tim for letting us have an hour and 15 with her. So appreciate it. When you're scared of something, it's evidence of growth. Yeah, Seth, that's so good. So true. It's hard to remember. Colleen she said something that I was like, I didn't disagree with, in the fact that I disagree with Colleen. She's like, but then you kind of know from the proof. It's still scary every time. Like you see the proof, but you're like, this is different because this. So like, I understand stacking the proof. Do you feel that way, Kenny? It's like, you can kind of justify why it worked in the past.
Yeah. And I think, I love that she said, like, you recognize that feeling that you're feeling. And you're like, okay, I know it's going to be okay. But in order for you to actually even acknowledge that, you actually have to do it the first time. So for me, speaking at the conference, for example, something that I'm worried about, but like, who knows what will happen next year? I'm sure I'll be put into to speak alone this year. But then I'll recognize that feeling of like, oh, I'm just feeling the same way I felt last year, and it was fine, turned out great, And yeah, I mean, you just have to put yourself in those positions. I mean, you've seen me grow throughout the years, but it's one of those things. It's just a constant reminder. Like, there's newer things that you have to go through, and the more you do it, the more you get to recognize that feeling. The more you get to, it's that proof of like you telling yourself, like, yeah, it worked. Like Colleen, I'm sure I'll do it from my own perspective. Like, I lost a big client. Oh, holy crap! Like that week, that day, it was horrible. Not if I lose. Obviously, the goal is not to lose a client, but like, I don't freak out as much. But I was just like, okay, cool. Like it's business. Like, it's literally, me and you talk about it all the time. It's like, it's literally business. Like, it happens in business. It goes up and down. It's just, as long as we're continuously going up and working towards that, then it's just part of life, and you just get to recognize that. But you, unfortunately and fortunately, at the same time, you have to go through those hard times. Nothing's gonna be handed to you. Nothing is easy, and I think that's what makes business fun. Or else it'd be boring.
Yeah, like you really have to freaking earn it. You really do.
And I love that we use that word. You earn it. You don't deserve it. You earn it.
Yeah, that's good. Lisa said, take action despite the fear. Absolutely. That's a great takeaway. That sounded very robot when I said that. I was reading the next question. That is a great takeaway, Lisa. Aaron said, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Yeah, you have to actually be afraid not to. So I definitely agree with that one. All boils down to your mindset. What's up, Mr. Kevin? I like this one from the start. I forgot about that. Thanks for bringing that up, Lisa. Choose your lie. It's like both are the lie in the future, right? It's I have a terrible business, I have a great business. Both are not true right now. Maybe the terrible business is, but you get to choose.
We as humans tend to use or choose the easiest one, which is like, okay, I'm not gonna do it, because it's like you're not doing anything hard right there. Which is just like, you can just choose your lie.
Yeah. I'm worried too. Hello, Kenny, right there with you. Yeah, that's the fun thing about doing anything where people are on a stage is you like look at the speakers and you're like, man, they're incredible, right? When you're sitting in the audience and you're like, all of them were shaking before they got on the stage. I heard Gary Vee's obviously pretty good at talking, and he said every speech he's back there like adrenaline up. It's just human, It's fun. What's up, Mr. Philippe? Philippe's on the rep team as well. Awesome guy. That exciting, scary growth makes life a lot more fun. Yeah, I mean, especially looking back in the moment, it's like,
Yeah, I was gonna say, in the moment, it's like, oh no, and then after that, you get this high. You're just like, yes, I did.
Yeah, and it's worth it for that. You don't always get it. Sometimes you just mess it up too. That's the best part, and that's what makes it fun when you
laugh about it later on.
Yeah. That was a fun one. I'm glad we had Colleen on. Yeah, I know. Colleen can just be the host, the permanent host. I mean, she is basically the permanent host with the conference. She's does a guest coaching call every week in our coaching program. She's an amazing person. So it's really cool. She didn't get a chance to share this but the cool thing is I can share this one for her. The first year, I didn't know this till the second year. So the first year she came to our conference, it was in Miami. It was 2022. And she had done like $1,000 in revenue when she came to that conference. So she like spent her revenue on the conference and more just to go, right? So anyway, she went, and I didn't know this until the following year when she was on the stage. This is when she told this. She was giving her talk this like year later, and she was like, I decided that first year when I was sitting in the crowd that I was going to come back as a speaker next year. But here's the craziest thing about that. There's not an application to be a speaker. Like when we were looking at speakers, my team and I find people from our community that are crushing and invite them. So she didn't like sign up to be a speaker, right? We were like, Colleen has to be a speaker. And she shared that on the stage the next year. And it was like one of those crazy moments where you're like, that's insane. And so that's the type of person she is. And I love it.
It's one of those things that like, you know, you could call it choose your lie, manifesting, whatever, but it's not really just like thinking about it and doing it. It's just like she took the action. She got her attention by actually like putting in the work and getting her business to do that. So like, you know, I love that she was saying that. It's like you can, going back to like choosing your lie, you can choose your lie and then act on that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So if you haven't got your ticket yet to the conference, there's your fear right there. The cool thing about virtually is, sure, you got to spend a little bit of money to go, but it's virtual. So you don't have to be in front of people. You can grab your ticket and learn. You know, we have a great lineup of speakers this year. You can see them on the website there, replunch.com/rep2024. My whole team will be there. We're talking, so you get to hear from us, but you've heard from us, right? You have these lives. A lot of you are in coaching. So you get to hear from other people that have, you know, come through our community, basically. Everybody, cool thing about the way we do our conference is everybody's from our community. So all these people are in the rep community and from the rep community. And they also are all active real estate media business owners. There's no fluff motivation. There's no speaker that's hired to hype everybody up. It's literally every single person on the stage is in real estate media currently. And I love that because it's very up to date. And yeah, I mean, there's so much value to gain from it. I sit there and listen. You know, we bring our whole team, which is expensive. It's like 20 plus people coming because we all want to learn, and the investment in our learning is worth it. So be there if you can. Let's see. Other than that, Kenny, could you drop the Let's Talk link if you want to talk with our team about coaching and what that would look like for you, whether you're just wanting to launch and you want to be in our launch program and have us give you basically the roadmap. You get a weekly call with Colleen, which is cool. She does a group call every single week in launch. Or you have a business and you've got a bottleneck. You want to scale it. Maybe you feel like you just need more clients. Maybe your systems are a mess, or maybe you're stressed and your business isn't peaceful. Doesn't have to be that way, by the way. I thought it did, and it just doesn't. Yeah, I mean, at least just chat with the team. We're not a high pressure team. That's not how I do things. I'd rather build a great program and then have people want to. So come talk with our team. They'll share with you, and just even if they can connect you to resources that aren't coaching. I have a ton of stuff that we've created. So anyway, go to that link, replunch.com/let's talk. And thanks for hanging out. Hope you got a ton of value this evening. Yeah, have a great night. Kenny, thanks for being here. Appreciate you all listening to us, and we'll see you later.